Section 1, Introduction to Mental Health. Mental health is a crucial aspect of overall well-being that encompasses emotional, psychological, and social wellness. It influences how individuals think, feel, and behave, as well as how they handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is not merely the absence of mental illness, but rather a state of well-being in which a person realizes their own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively, and contribute to their community. The concept of mental health is complex and multifaceted, shaped by a variety of biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors. The biopsychosocial model is a comprehensive framework for understanding mental health and mental illness. This model acknowledges that mental health is influenced by the interplay of biological factors, such as genetics and brain chemistry, psychological factors, such as personality, coping mechanisms, and life experiences, and social factors, such as relationships, cultural norms, and socioeconomic status. The biopsychosocial model emphasizes the need for a holistic approach to mental health, taking into account the complex interactions between these various factors. Biological factors play a significant role in mental health. Genetics can influence an individual's vulnerability to certain mental health conditions, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression. Neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers in the brain, also play a crucial role in regulating mood, thought processes, and behavior. Imbalances in neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine have been linked to various mental health disorders. Additionally, the structure and function of the brain, particularly in regions such as the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and hippocampus, have been implicated in mental health and illness. Psychological factors, including personality traits, coping mechanisms, and life experiences, also significantly impact mental health. Personality traits such as neuroticism, extroversion, and conscientiousness can influence an individual's susceptibility to mental health issues. Coping mechanisms, which are strategies used to manage stress and adversity, can be adaptive, such as problem solving and seeking social support, or maladaptive, such as avoidance and substance abuse. Life experiences, particularly traumatic events or chronic stressors, can also shape mental health outcomes. Adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, such as abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction, have been linked to an increased risk of mental health problems in adulthood. Social factors, including relationships, cultural norms, and socioeconomic status, play a crucial role in mental health. Social support from family, friends, and community can provide a buffer against stress and promote resilience. Conversely, social isolation and loneliness can contribute to mental health problems. Cultural norms and values can shape attitudes towards mental health, influencing help-seeking behaviors and access to care. Socioeconomic status, including income, education, and occupational status, can also impact mental health outcomes. Individuals living in poverty or experiencing financial strain are at higher risk for mental health problems, partly due to increased exposure to stressors and limited access to resources. Environmental factors such as living conditions, access to health care, and exposure to toxins or pollutants can also influence mental health. Poor housing conditions, such as overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and exposure to lead or other toxins, have been associated with increased rates of mental health problems. Access to health care, including mental health services, can vary based on geographic location, insurance coverage, and socioeconomic status. Exposure to environmental toxins such as air pollution or pesticides has also been linked to adverse mental health outcomes. Mental health problems are prevalent globally, affecting individuals across all age groups, genders, and cultures. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, approximately 1 in 4 people worldwide will experience a mental health issue at some point in their lives. Common mental health disorders include anxiety disorders, such as generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and phobias. Mood disorders, such as depression and bipolar disorder, substance use disorders, and schizophrenia. Mental health problems can range from mild to severe and can significantly impact an individual's functioning, relationships, and overall quality of life. The impact of mental health issues extends beyond the individual, affecting families, communities, and society as a whole. Mental health problems can lead to increased healthcare costs, reduced productivity, and lost wages. They can also contribute to social problems such as homelessness, incarceration, and interpersonal violence. The economic burden of mental health disorders is substantial, with estimates suggesting that the global cost of mental health problems could reach $16 trillion by 2030. Despite the prevalence and impact of mental health issues, stigma and discrimination remain significant barriers to seeking help and accessing care. Stigma can take many forms, including public stigma, negative attitudes and beliefs held by the general public, self-stigma, internalized negative beliefs held by individuals with mental health problems, and institutional stigma, systemic policies and practices that perpetuate discrimination. Stigma can lead to shame, social isolation, and reluctance to seek treatment, further exacerbating mental health problems. Cultural factors can also shape attitudes towards mental health and influence the expression and interpretation of mental health symptoms. Cultural norms and values can affect how individuals perceive and communicate distress, as well as their willingness to seek help. For example, in some cultures, mental health problems may be viewed as a sign of weakness or a source of shame, leading to underreporting and undertreatment. Additionally, cultural beliefs about the causes of mental illness, such as spiritual or supernatural explanations, can influence treatment preferences and adherence. Addressing mental health requires a multifaceted approach that encompasses prevention, early intervention, and treatment. Prevention strategies aim to reduce risk factors and promote protective factors for mental health. These can include public education campaigns to reduce stigma, school-based programs to teach coping skills and resilience, and policies that address social determinants of health, such as poverty and discrimination. Early intervention involves identifying and treating mental health problems in their early stages, before they become more severe and debilitating. This can involve screening programs, community outreach, and access to low-intensity interventions, such as self-help resources and brief therapies. Treatment for mental health problems can take many forms, depending on the specific disorder, severity, and individual preferences. Psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy, is a common treatment approach that involves working with a mental health professional to address emotional, behavioral, and cognitive difficulties. There are many different types of psychotherapy, including cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, interpersonal therapy, IPT, and psychodynamic therapy. Medication, such as antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and antipsychotics, can also be used to treat mental health disorders, often in combination with psychotherapy. Other treatment options may include support groups, lifestyle changes, such as exercise and stress reduction techniques, and complementary and alternative therapies, such as mindfulness meditation and acupuncture. The mental health treatment landscape has evolved over time, reflecting advances in research, changes in societal attitudes, and shifts in healthcare policies. The deinstitutionalization movement of the mid-20th century led to a shift from long-term psychiatric hospitals to community-based care. This change was driven by a combination of factors, including the development of effective psychiatric medications, the recognition of the human rights of individuals with mental illness, and the rising costs of institutional care. While deinstitutionalization aimed to provide more humane and integrated care, it also led to challenges such as inadequate community resources and increased homelessness among individuals with mental illness. In recent decades, there has been a growing emphasis on evidence-based practices in mental health treatment. Evidence-based practices are interventions that have been rigorously evaluated and shown to be effective through scientific research. The push for evidence-based practices has been driven by a desire to improve the quality and consistency of mental health care, as well as to ensure that limited resources are allocated to interventions with demonstrated efficacy. However, implementing evidence-based practices can be challenging as it requires training, resources, and a willingness to change established practices. The integration of mental health care into primary care settings has also emerged as a key strategy for improving access to treatment. Primary care providers, such as family physicians and nurse practitioners, are often the first point of contact for individuals with mental health concerns. By integrating mental health screening, assessment, and treatment into primary care, individuals can receive timelier and coordinated care. Collaborative care models, which involve a team-based approach to mental health treatment in primary care settings, have been shown to improve outcomes and reduce costs. Technology has also played an increasingly important role in mental health care, particularly in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Telemental health, which involves providing mental health services remotely through video conferencing or telephone, has become more widely available and accepted. Telemental health can improve access to care, particularly for individuals in rural or underserved areas, and can reduce barriers such as transportation and stigma. However, telemental health also presents challenges, such as ensuring privacy and security, establishing therapeutic rapport, and addressing digital inequities. The mental health workforce is another critical factor in addressing the global burden of mental health problems. There is a significant shortage of mental health professionals worldwide, particularly in low and middle income countries. Strategies for addressing this shortage include task shifting, training non-specialist providers to deliver mental health interventions, integrating mental health into primary care, and leveraging technology to extend the reach of mental health services. Additionally, there is a need for greater diversity and cultural competence within the mental health workforce to better serve the needs of diverse populations. Mental health is also closely linked to social determinants of health, such as poverty, education, housing, and discrimination. Addressing mental health requires a comprehensive approach that goes beyond individual treatment to address these broader social and economic factors. This can involve policies and programs that aim to reduce poverty, improve access to education and employment, and combat discrimination and social exclusion. It also requires collaboration across sectors, including healthcare, social services, education, and criminal justice, to provide coordinated and holistic support for individuals with mental health needs. In conclusion, mental health is a complex and multifaceted construct that is influenced by a range of biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors. Mental health problems are prevalent worldwide and have significant impacts on individuals, families, communities, and society as a whole. Addressing mental health requires a comprehensive approach that encompasses prevention, early intervention, and treatment, as well as attention to social determinants of health and the broader healthcare system. By promoting mental health and well-being, we can improve the lives of individuals and build more resilient and thriving communities. Section 2. Neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. The brain is the most complex organ in the human body, serving as the center of the nervous system and controlling a wide range of functions, from basic physiological processes to higher-order cognitive abilities. Understanding the structure and function of the brain is essential for comprehending the biological basis of mental health and mental illness. This section will provide an in-depth exploration of neuroanatomy and neurophysiology, covering topics such as the organization of the brain, the role of neurotransmitters, and the impact of stress and trauma on neural functioning. The brain is composed of billions of cells called neurons, which are specialized for the transmission of electrical and chemical signals. Neurons consist of a cell body, dendrites, which receive signals from other neurons, and an axon, which sends signals to other neurons or target cells. Neurons communicate with each other through synapses, the small gaps between neurons where neurotransmitters are released and received. The brain also contains glial cells, which provide support, protection, and maintenance for neurons. The brain is organized into several distinct regions, each with specific functions. The cerebral cortex, the outermost layer of the brain, is responsible for higher-order cognitive functions such as perception, language, reasoning, and decision-making. The cerebral cortex is divided into 4 lobes. The frontal lobe, involved in executive functions such as planning and impulse control. The parietal lobe, involved in sensory processing and spatial awareness. The temporal lobe, involved in memory and language. And the occipital lobe, involved in visual processing. Beneath the cerebral cortex lie several subcortical structures that play crucial roles in mental health and behavior. The limbic system, which includes the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus, is involved in emotional processing, memory, and stress regulation. The amygdala is particularly important for the processing of fear and threat-related stimuli, while the hippocampus is involved in the formation and consolidation of memories. The hypothalamus plays a key role in regulating the body's stress response, as well as basic physiological functions such as sleep, appetite, and sexual behavior. The basal ganglia, a group of subcortical nuclei, are involved in motor control, learning, and reward processing. A dysfunction in the basal ganglia has been implicated in movement disorders such as Parkinson's disease, as well as in substance use disorders and other conditions involving impaired reward processing. The thalamus, another subcortical structure, serves as a relay station for sensory and motor information, filtering and integrating signals before they reach the cerebral cortex. Neurotransmitters are the chemical messengers that allow neurons to communicate with each other and with target cells. There are many different types of neurotransmitters, each with specific functions and roles in mental health. Some of the most well-studied neurotransmitters include serotonin, involved in mood regulation, sleep, appetite, and pain perception. Low levels of serotonin have been linked to depression and anxiety disorders. Dopamine, involved in reward processing, motivation, and motor control. Abnormalities in dopamine signaling have been implicated in schizophrenia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and substance use disorders. Norepinephrine, involved in arousal, attention, and stress response. Imbalances in norepinephrine have been linked to anxiety disorders and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Glutamate, the primary excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain, involved in learning, memory, and synaptic plasticity. Abnormalities in glutamate signaling have been implicated in schizophrenia and mood disorders. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, involved in reducing neuronal excitability and promoting relaxation. Low levels of GABA have been linked to anxiety disorders and epilepsy.